A few things are needed in order to obtain wealth. Cleanliness. When a person is healthy, they glow. Why are they glowing? You have to understand, when you consume healthy foods, when you create a healthy internal environment, and you clean up, you remove all the debris, and you bring the wealth in to where your blood is rich. Your blood is now supplying all of your organs with the nutrients, the vitamins, minerals, essentially the gold, the copper, the zinc and all that, all the minerals. Now you're rich, now you're glowing because you have all of this wealth internally and it's shining externally. And now you can magnetize to you external wealth.
What's going on, millionaires? It's your guy Kai Speaks back for another episode of the $1 Million Mind podcast. I am excited today, and y'all gonna know why I'm excited, because I have the opportunity to talk about a few different topics that I don't always get a chance to talk about on the platform. And we have a very unique guest. We have our very first herbalist. I don't even want to put her in a box because I'm learning she's so very talented. She's, a metaphysics practitioner. She's, ordained minister. She just is multifaceted. Let's say that, right? And so the conversation today, I feel like, is going to be a high level conversation, and a conversation for high performers and people who want to kind of tap in to a place that they haven't been before, both mentally, spiritually, and physically, when we're talking about health and everything like that. But without further ado, I want to introduce our guest today. We have Herb Alchemist in the building. Herb, it's a pleasure having you in the building today. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
So, yes, I'm an herbalist. I have been professionally for the past 15 years. I am also a priestess of metaphysics and practitioner of metaphysics. I'm a sacred woman. Under the guidance of Queen Afua. I'm also a law of attraction love coach. I have a wife school.
I just like that way that sounds.
Yeah, and I'm a wife. I'm a mother, and just a entrepreneur overall. Man. I want to check in with you. How was that intro? Did you like the intro? Yeah, it's cool.
Okay, cool, yo. I just want to make sure. I told Herb, because she wondered how I was going to introduce. I I want to surprise you with the intro. I got to go off the energy. So yeah, I'm glad that I didn't disappoint. Herb, like I said in the intro, I'm very excited about this conversation, because what we talking about, and just kind of checking out your profile and the things that you do, from the metaphysics to the spirituality, these are conversations and these are places, that I like to find myself and I talk about often, but just off tape. This is not conversation that I'm always having on the podcast. Yeah. It's typically about money, real estate. But I do find this conversation is important for our audience because, with on the health side of things and the spirituality side of things, a healthy body is what empowers a healthy mind. Yeah. When you have a good relationship with who you are, your spirituality, that also promotes a healthy mind and gets us to where our desired destination is, in the best way possible and in one piece, right? Because a lot of times we get into destinations in multiple pieces because, we either not spiritually intact, mentally intact, financially intact, but we got to where we want to be. So that's all that matters. Not really, right?
Right.
And so
health is wealth.
Health is wealth. And so let's start off with the beginning of your journey, because you mentioned you had this awakening at a very young age that you knew this was kind of the direction that you wanted to be in.
Yeah.
And you've been very intentional too on the things that you've done and the kind of the people you had to meet and whether either, kind of bit you in the butt or it worked out in good and, for good reasons. Let's talk about that. So you talked about you were born and raised in LA, right?
About an hour north. I was born in Long Beach. Yeah, born in Long Beach, but I was raised in a small town called Palmdale, California. It's about an hour north. It's the desert. Yeah, but as far as the beginning of my journey, we're multi-dimensional beings. We have multiple lifetimes, wonderful astrologer Fahashima recently said to me, you've lived as much as there are grains of sand at the beach, So my most recent lifetimes, I've been very famous and very wealthy. And I come from being like a performer, like what you would consider like on the level of a Beyonce or these different things. It's very talented, very well known. And so in this lifetime, I have, in a sense, had to start at the bottom.
Start over.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not only start over, but start without the silver spoon in my mouth and learn to get it out the mud, in a sense. And so my oldest memories are of being homeless. I'm born in 89, so that's in the thick of the crack era. My father was addicted to crack cocaine. My mother was a victim of domestic violence, and so when I'm like 2 years old, like my oldest memories are just very, very dark and
traumatic.
dismal. Yeah. And so, we were in shelters. Like my oldest memories were in homeless shelters, like, there's things like that, living in tents and stuff like that. Growing up in poverty, going hungry, like getting to the point where there's only mayonnaise left in the fridge. I'm eating Miracle Whip out of a jar. Yeah,
It just made my stomach hurt just saying it. Don't do that to me, Herb. Don't do that.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So, I had to really learn how to survive. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, even though we would have certain struggles, my mom, she's a Leo. So, Leos are very grandiose. So our house was lit. We always had, very nice furniture and nice home, good food when there was food. But when there wasn't no food, it was,
it was the Miracle
the
Whip.
belly, the ribs was popping out.
Yeah.
So that was my initial upbringing, but it made me really hungry. I'm not just saying like in terms of food, like I wanted to get money, and my mother, the government was trying to accuse her of welfare fraud because we had multiple cars, we had a big house, and we had, she had begun working, but she was still receiving welfare, but it was a program where they were allowing people on welfare to work. And so my mother is like a self-made lawyer, right? And so they were trying to give her 17 years in jail for welfare fraud. And so my mother ended up, shout out to you, Mom, because you're the best. My mother ended up turning it around where she sued them, and she got like everybody from the police department fired. Like my mom just really handled her business. But for me, that made it so where I had this mindset of I don't never want to depend on the government for not a thing.
Right.
I knew that very early on. Like outside of, I did go to college, I did get financial aid. I never wanted to like get food stamps and this, and I'm like, I'm good. I'm so good. Social Security, I'm good.
That makes a lot of sense. And what also makes sense to me is, your drive for more, and also relating that to what you understand as your past lives, right? Because it's like in your past lives, you were this, this very influential person, wealthy, well off, used to having certain things. And then, here you
Royal
are.
family.
Yep. And now your spirit is kind of now put into this vessel that doesn't have those things.
Yeah.
So like now naturally you just have to have that drive to get all the things back that you were lacking.
Yeah, because for me, wealth is within, and I knew that at a very young age. I've always been very intelligent, always excelled in school, straight A's, principal honor roll every year, advanced placement classes, all of that. And so I would have friends that were well off and, 2-parent households. My mother was a single parent. And, for me, I noticed that my friends who were more well off from their family, they didn't have as much of a drive. And in fact, they stayed, I was out the house, I was out the state, as at age 19, and they were still living with their parents, in their 20s and their 30s, and didn't really matriculate to wealth or those different things because they already were so comfortable and they've already were given so much at a very early age. So I really look at it as a blessing to have grown up. In fact, all of my siblings were all entrepreneurs, were all well off, big houses, this and that. And I really contributed to how we grew up and how we had to, learn to get it out the mud.
That's a great point. But I'm after you shared, I'm now having like kind of an awakening too, I feel like, because I wonder now if it wasn't necessarily because they were wealthy and already well off that that took that drive away from them, but it had also something to do with who they were in their past lives as well. Because I feel like that's where, like, you saying that and me thinking about it, I think that plays a huge part in our tendencies, things we regress to, like, without us thinking about it, like that's our past life, kind of popping out because we haven't really necessarily had the experiences. Like, why am I reacting this way?
Right.
And why can't I identify why I'm reacting this way? It's got to be something spiritual and something deeper than that. And so when we talk about people who are less driven, I wonder if that even has something to do with, something deeper than who they are right now in this moment. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I agree.
Okay. So let's, you talked about not wanting to rely on the government assistance, and you share with me kind of like what that looked like, at a young age, from your money management to, you even had to kind of grow up, at a young age pretty fast, to where at the age of 10 or 9, you was managing the household finances and things like that. And 16, you had a couple awakenings. Let's talk about what was going on at 10 to managing the household finances up until 16, where you had this awakening that led you into the life of being an herbalist and this spiritual leader.
Yeah. So my mom really, like, we grew up very independent. We had to, because she couldn't do that much, having 4 children and, not having a lot of money. So we had to do a lot of things ourselves. So I was my mother's assistant. I was her chef assistant. So like at age 4, I was cutting onions and, just helping her make the gumbo or this or that. My mom's from New Orleans. And so, my mother, again, she's a Leo, so she liked expensive things. She had expensive taste, right? And so oftentimes she'll buy name brand snacks, Rice Krispie treats and, all these things. And we would just run through them. And then at the end of the month, everybody be hungry. Like that last week is like, I'm eating mayonnaise out the jar. I'm eating Miracle Whip out the jar with bread. If the bread is gone, I'm just eating the mayonnaise by itself. Got to survive, right? Or I'm stealing food at the store, stealing candy so my blood sugar won't drop. So I was like, okay, I'm tired of this. I'm not going to be eating Miracle Whip, So I told my mom, like, Mom, I'm going to do the grocery shopping. And this is back in the day before, like, the EBT card, all fancy and stuff. We had the books of food stamps. And so I would take the food stamps and I would go do the grocery shopping myself. And I would get, instead of the 2 liters of the Sprite and the Coke and this and that, I'm like, okay, we're going to get the off-brand 3 liters. We got a whole nother liter.
Dr. Pibb.
Yeah. Exactly. It's 79 cents.
Yeah.
Instead of this name brand fruit snack, the Kellogg and this and that. Listen, we eating off-brand cereal, off-brand everything. I did not care. But then, with me doing that, the food was stretched to the end of the month. So.
And you were going grocery shopping by yourself at 10?
Yeah, and it was a mile away, from we lived a mile away. And so I would have to push the heavy basket, it would be falling to the street. So I have to go on the side of the basket.
I remember so you had the little wired basket, the little deep.
No, I would take the grocery
you would take
basket
the grocery
home.
cart?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh snap! So you had to go to the grocery stores that didn't have them self-locking.
Oh, this was back in the day. Okay.
Oh, they ain't had
it. Was back in the day. That's some new stuff.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because they'll lock up on you after you get out the parking lot.
Yeah. Nowadays they
got
lifted
up.
No, I wasn't doing that.
All right, coolio. And so, damn. So I could see how that can make you grow up, but share with our listeners like how that affected you now to like doing these certain things. Like, how do those memories as a kid to, having to, really essentially budget the food stamps to be able to stretch, to, cooking at a young age, going grocery shopping at a young age. How does that affect you now, internally?
Well, I mean, it affects me now because, for one, I'm looking at my children. I'm like, y'all some spoiled.
Okay, right.
So that's one. But I am in a space, being an entrepreneur, there are ups and downs. You know what I'm saying? And, so if ever or when certain down periods come, like, in a sense, I know for a lot of us, finances aren't flowing as much because of the, so-called recession and all these different things. So when I have to cut back on different things, like, or even on my lifestyle, I'm not eating mayonnaise out the jar. You know what I mean? So I'm not pressed in a sense where it's like and then my mind I always get creative. If ever there's a shift in anything, like I have neural pathways that have been opened up from my upbringing, that I'm always staying creative, even with how I manifest money. So that's, I think, the main thing is those neural pathways being opened up.
Okay. Now that I feel like that you just open up a whole nother can of worms. Or like, how does one, because that's a skill, that's a talent to be able to open up neural pathways, to get creative. How does one, like, how do you open up those neural pathways? How do you even like practice creativity to that level to where you can identify shortcomings, or you can identify things like a recession and get creative, and figure out what moves you need to make next?
That's not really something that you can just, like, that's kind of like just a gift. The struggle can be a gift, and they always say the universe isn't seeking to destroy you, it's always seeking to bless you. So like I said, my upbringing and going through what I went through, it allowed for me to open up those neural pathways so that I could survive. So it's hard to say, oh, you go through it by struggling.
Yeah, right.
It's hard to say.
Right. No, I get I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not something that you can just, I'm gonna, create this in my mind. I think, sometimes just pulling back on having as much, like living a minimalistic life, may help you to exercise, that aspect of yourself. But yeah, that's
got you. So if you ain't never been through something, you're gonna have to put yourself through something, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Or even with like my children, they didn't go through, they don't have to go hungry like I did. And so, me and my husband still make sure that they are able to learn what it means to get their own, like they have to open their own businesses when they're teenagers. You know what I mean? So it's just certain things that you can do.
That makes a lot of sense. And it reminds me of, we had a guest a while back talk about struggle. And people took it the wrong way because this was a white guest.
Okay.
And when he was talking about struggle, he mentioned how Black people, our struggle is our strongest weapon and we don't realize it. And it kind of really brings me to what you were just saying, because like, to a certain degree, like, yeah, our struggle is such a touchy subject. We don't want other people telling us how to cope with that struggle, right? But to a certain extent, he was right, because he's kind of saying the same thing you were just saying. Like, your struggle was what gave you those powers to be able to open up those neural pathways, to be able to identify struggle before it actually happened, and to kind of like rearrange things so you don't, you're not back eating that, mayonnaise out the jar. And I think for us as a people, we need to realize that circumstance doesn't happen to us, but it happens for us.
Yeah, absolutely. In the tradition that I practice, which is Isheshe, what people call Ifa, from the Yoruba tribe of West Africa, stretching from Benin, Togo, North Nigeria. Ifa says that, which Ifa means the word of God, it says, everyone must taste the bitterness and sweetness of life. And so he wasn't wrong. And, Caucasians come from a very, very harsh beginning that allows them to innately have this sense of drive. They'll just take, though their drive is like, we're going to take, I don't give a damn. I'm not going, because they're some of the best survivalists. They had to survive in the ice where there was no food, no this or that. So their neural pathways have been burst open to where they're like, look, we're going to take everything. We don't care about nobody. We got to survive. We got to be the best. Whereas our history as a people, we were very spoiled for a very long time, living off the land, the fruits, it's just here, it's just, so, you're saying something. And so we are in our phase where we have been experiencing that bitterness. But what he's saying is that, everything's alchemy. You turn lead into gold, right? So we're in that space where we have the lead, okay, now it's time to transmute it because
Yeah.
we have royal origins. How do we climb back up to our royal origins?
Man, I didn't even think about that. It's so crazy how we are conditioned to, we always think right back to slavery, but not the times before. No,
Millions of years old.
Right. And I get that, and I understand that, and me and my dad always talk about this, but innately I even was like just saying, like, when we talk about the struggle, we talking about the struggle of like slavery and then civil rights and etc.
Yeah.
But we got to go back and remember that before then, you know, we was living off the land. We believed in abundance.
We had sun.
Yeah,
That's the true wealth. And we have, you know, the melanin that allows us to receive the sun, which allows us to have the creativity and the supernatural abilities, powers, everything. So.
And so and like you said, we were spoiled.
Yeah.
You know,
we still are. We just don't realize.
And again, because past lives, living through those kings and those queens, you know, we may be having those tendencies of like, nah, this is, you know, I don't have the words for it, but I get where you come from.
We still want to sit on our cushion instead of
really we still want to sit on the throne.
The mud.
We still want to sit on the throne. Oh man.
Yeah. I wanted to actually, because you had said something in the beginning that I really wanted to touch on, but I didn't get the opportunity. You were talking about health and, you know, the importance of it. And I mentioned that health is wealth. And you're talking about, you know, having a healthy body. I want to talk about how, you know, for one, in Ifa, we have an Orisha, right, of wealth. Orishas, people think that we're just worshiping multiple gods, and that's not necessarily the case. There's one God, right, in every tradition. Like even a lot of the polytheistic religions that people think, oh, they worship all these other gods. No, we acknowledge one creator, and the creator in Isheshe is Olodumare. Yet the creator is so vast. The creator is so massive that we compartmentalize the creator and we understand the creator by personifying different attributes of the creator. So we personify the attribute of the creator that is wealth as what we call Aje, who is a feminine energy, right? And Aje is the Orisha of wealth. And so the Little Mermaid is actually taken from Aje's story.
Really?
Yeah. So, you know, she's, for one, she's the daughter of King Triton.
Right.
Aje is the daughter of Olokun. And Olokun is the owner of the ocean, right? And he has the Triton. If you look up images of Olokun, you'll see he's holding the Triton. And so, you know, a Little Mermaid's like, look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the girl who has everything, right? So Aje is like this princess energy, but she's wealthy beyond measure because when you think about the ocean, it may have treasure, it may have bird kingdoms under there, you know, just all of the fish. And the ocean has so much. In fact, you can say the earth evolved from the ocean because we have very little bit of land, but a whole lot of water, right? So, so the ocean is the wealth, right? And so we appease Aje in Ifa, right? And a few things are needed in order to obtain wealth. For one, cleanliness, right? So we talk about the body, right? We talk about the health of the body, right? We have to understand when a person is healthy, they glow, right? Why are they glowing? Do you know why?
I just thought it was just because, you know, I was told by my Pee-wee coaches in football, you look good, you feel good, you play good.
Right. And okay, I thank you for that answer. We glow because we are wealth. We are wealthy internally. You have to understand when you consume healthy foods, right? What does it mean to consume healthy foods? It means to consume rich foods. Well, what does that break down to? That breaks down to vitamins and minerals, right? When you think about gold and copper and all these different things, brass, like all the precious metals, the silver and all that, those are just minerals, right? Essentially. So when you create a healthy internal environment and you clean up, you remove all the debris and you bring the wealth in to where your blood is rich. Your blood is now supplying all of your organs with the nutrients, the vitamins, minerals, you know, essentially the gold, the copper, the zinc and all that, all the minerals. Now You are rich. Now you're glowing because you have all of this wealth internally and it's shining externally. And now you can magnetize to you external wealth because you've become wealthy internally. Excuse me. The healer in me just was like, hold on, we need to talk about
Yeah,
this.
no.
And then in addition to that, not only do you clean up the internal environment, you also clean up the external environment. It's very hard to obtain wealth. It's very hard for y'all who want to be a millionaire. I said this on my video, on my live on Instagram the other day. Clean up your house. Sometimes we think I got to do this, and I got to do that. And that. Sometimes we're like, no, you just need to mop the floor. No, you just need to get rid of all that old trash, and create a clean environment like in Orisha. In fact, in Benin, which 40% of my lineage is from Benin in Africa, it's one of the cleanest places in Africa.
Yeah.
And it's the birthplace of Voodoo. It's the birthplace of Ifa. It's the most spiritual place in Africa. Now, a lot of us from Benin, we're in New Orleans.
Okay.
So you see the Voodoo in New Orleans. What do you know about New Orleans people? New Orleans people are some of the cleanest people you'll ever meet. The clean for the black. Look at this floor.
That's
it's
why
like it's already
sleeping.
Clean.
Yeah, they do depict New Orleans folks in like movies and stuff. It's like you always see them with a broom sweeping something.
Oh yeah, brooms are spiritual.
Yeah, no, yes,
brooms are
very
much spiritual. So I just wanted to add that because I didn't want it to go so far away from my mind where I didn't remember to bring it back around.
I want to take a slight segue, but I do want to bring us back to the conversation of wealth.
Yeah.
But since you brought up the culture of New Orleans, I kind of want to bring some education to the audience too.
Yeah.
Around like New Orleans, voodoo, and the depiction of voodoo through like Hollywood and stuff like that. Because I think a lot of times when we think of voodoo, we think of raising the dead, zombies. That's how Hollywood has like kind of like pictured, and some will even take it even further and create this image of like dark magic and darkness and stuff like that. But as a spiritual being, I know that it is far deeper than that. If you could kind of shine some education and some light on the relationship between the people of New Orleans and voodoo and, that culture of really herbal alchemy.
Right. Ashe. Well, so again, the voodoo presence in New Orleans comes from Benin. Comes from the fact that a lot of people from New Orleans are from Benin and Togo. So we brought our spiritual nature with us. And Caucasians really did not want us to practice our spiritual, beliefs, because if you would practice your spirituality, you would know your true power, then they couldn't control you, and then, when you're connected in the way that we're meant to be connected as, little drops of God, then it would really put them where they belong in a sense. And so they had to make us think that we should be glad that we were taken from Africa, from that wicked, evil, awful place where they were, practicing all these horrible things. And, now you've been gifted to have, Christianity and Christ, and you're clean now. Your character is polished and all that evil stuff. So it was a programming, it was propaganda. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people that utilize the spirituality for dark things,
But that's just good people and bad people.
In every religion, you have
Right.
Christians that, around Halloween, they're killing children and and you have Muslim, you have in every spiritual culture, you have your good people, you have your bad people. So, but it was largely just propaganda because they'll tell you, oh, voodoo is bad and this and that. But now in New Orleans, you'll go to a voodoo festival. It's called the Voodoo Festival, and it's all rock and roll. You go to a restaurant, they're like, oh, we got voodoo hot wings, and it's not owned by us. So they'll tell you it's bad, but then they'll utilize your culture and rob it, so it's like
colonize it, make some money off of it.
Exactly.
Got you. And also, I also understand, now I said voodoo, but you kind of pronounce it a little bit differently.
Voodoo.
And I was watching a documentary, a film called 1814, where that was also a heavy presence in Haiti. You know, that played a huge part in the Haitians freeing themselves under French rule. Just getting back to that practice and realizing like, oh, all these lies that we've been told by the French, you know, no, we got to get back to Vaudon and free ourselves, essentially.
And I really personally feel like I don't practice Vaudon. That's not, I practice Ifa.
Right.
Which, you know, they can be considered similar. And if you look at the actual practice itself. When we as a people get back to our tradition, that is when our true power will be revealed to us. You know, that may take a long time because we've been programmed. We were murdered and killed so much because of their fear, because they knew that our traditions work. We were killed so much that we have become in our DNA. We're traumatized. So we're afraid. So it's like, no, I just need to go to church. And no judgment against Christians. There's a lot of wonderful Christians out there, but we didn't come to Christianity naturally. We came to Christianity by being abused and beaten down. And so in a sense, we are kept poor. When you don't know your tradition, when you don't really know your spiritual powers and your spiritual self, the way that your family connects to the universe, let me tell you this. Culture. Right? Culture is very, very sacred, right? Culture is how people relate to their land. You know, it's the food that people eat. It's the language that people speak. It's the way they dress. It's the way they worship their creator, you know, the one creator. It's, you know, the way they have their festivals, all these things. So when you rob a person of all of that and you tell them their culture is wrong, this is the right culture, this is the right cult, right? There is no right and wrong culture, right? There is just your way based upon how you connect to the land that you live. So if we all wipe out all the culture of the world and we all practice one culture, and we all eat one food, we all speak one language, we all praise the God in the same way, how boring will the world be? See, God made culture so that we can be colorful, so that we can have fun, so we can, you know, anyway, so it could be unique. But I'm done.
No. That was great. And I think going back to what we were talking about, and you mentioned the word programmed, right?
Yeah.
And when I think of the mental programming, and that's why I thought it was fitting for this conversation, for this platform, because, you know, I believe that this is also a recipe for us to get out of some of that mental programming that keeps us in our ways, that keeps us stuck in certain cycles. And a part of that is the food we eat, right? And
oh my God.
When we go into, you know, herbal alchemy, you know, is good and bad to everything. And we are literally seeing warfare in plain sight. The chemicals that are being put into our foods that, you know, when put together, keep us sick, keep us depressed, keep us in, you know, mental bondage, essentially. And so my question for you, I brought that up to kind of like introduce the conversation now and kind of put us in the direction of like foods and herbs that are good to reprogram and open up neural pathways in our mind to, again, attract that wealth, not just physically, but mentally, and become that magnet of good people, good energies, and, you know, just good vibrations in general.
I love spirulina and chlorella. They're very, very high. They have a beautiful nutritional profile, very rich in chlorophyll, you know, which chlorophyll is like sunshine. You know, it's that gives the plants their green color. I love gotu kola for the brain. It brings a lot of oxygen to the brain.
I'm gonna need to learn how to spell all of these so I can put them on the screen.
Yeah, so gotu kola is great. I love golden root, also known as rhodiola. Those are two of my favorite brain herbs, gotu kola and rhodiola. And they really help the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, to assist you with your, you know, pineal gland is like your God, your seat of God, but it also helps you with creativity a whole lot. So those herbs, and they boost your memory, focus, concentration. all of that.
Got you. So you consuming those and pairing those with like, because you said the pineal gland that helps with creativity, but also the
Spirituality.
That's kind of like your antenna to God. You kind of mentioned.
Yeah, and a lot of us, we have a calcified pineal gland.
Yes.
And the Caucasian pineal gland became calcified based off of the lifestyle that they experienced in the ice. And so with the lifestyle that we're living, with having a very Caucasoid way of consuming, our pineal glands have also become calcified. So our psychic, intuitive capabilities are no longer sharp like they once were. And
now break that down. Are you, i.e., saying like consuming meats and living in darkness and
well,
like what?
It's
Break
just
that
the
down a little
whole
bit.
lifestyle that we're living now has been given to us from the Caucasians.
Right.
And the lifestyle is very anti-nature because of their experience. Their experience was very anti-nature, you know? And so we consume a lot of foods that are really waste foods, you know, that don't belong in our bodies. So what we see, we are expanding outside of our blueprint. I call it our blueprint. And so we're becoming obese because our body is just holding on to waste. We're like a walking trash can because we're putting so much stuff in our body. I can't even call it food. Putting so much stuff in our body that the body's like, I can't do nothing with this. You know, when it comes to eating, our body is just trying to synthesize nutrients.
Right.
Synthesize nutrients for what? To give it to the bank. What's the bank? The blood supply. So for what? So that the blood supply can feed the liver, the brain, the kidneys, the heart, you know. And so when you're eating all this food that is loaded up with carbohydrates and sugars and, you know, excess fats and all this stuff, and the body and chemicals, the body's like, hello, where's my vitamin A, B, C, K, you know, my magnesium, where my money at?
Yeah.
Food is
essentially,
money.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, where my money? And the
Wow.
body's like, this is broke.
You're not
Like
making no
we
deposits.
broke, like
Yeah.
literally. And then it's like, I don't even know what to do with this. I can't even get rid of this properly because I just don't even know. I can't even read it. I don't understand it. I'm gonna put it over here. So the body keeps just storing stuff, and you just get, you know, big.
It's kind of like
hell.
putting foreign currency into your piggy bank and then taking that piggy bank to Coinstar or whatever to try and
with
cash.
it.
Now you just got a full piggy bank full of coins. You can't, right. I'm starting to understand now. Okay, I'm starting to understand. And so you said spirulina, golden root, etc. I can't name the other ones, right? I don't mean to say etc. Gotu kola. These are good to uncalcify the pineal gland.
Yeah, and the spirulina and the chlorella are good to like nourish the blood. Nourish the blood. You want to focus on blood. You know, you want to focus on fortifying your blood because your circulatory system, your blood, which blood is created in the bones. Not a lot of people realize that. We think it's created in the heart. The heart is just the blood. The bones the bones are the blood manufacturing system, and the heart is the blood distribution center.
So let me ask you this. I don't mean to cut you off because you telling me something, right? So when they telling us to drink a whole lot of milk because it's rich in calcium and stuff like that, and it builds strong bones, is it possible that we could be putting too much calcium into the body and that's how we get that calcified pineal gland also? Yes,
very much so. And because the cows are so like abused and mistreated and not fed their proper diet, cows need to be eating grass. They are supposed to be like grass alone.
Right,
That's why you see grass fed.
Yeah,
they just rush the process and they're eating all this grain, you know, and that's causing inflammation. The cows are very sick. You know, you want to be mindful of the animals that you're eating. I'm not anti-animal eating. You know, I eat animals. I eat certain animals. But you want to be mindful because of the mucus. Mucus is like, that's poor because it doesn't have any nutrients.
Yeah.
You know, our body will produce mucus and there's certain, you know, but you just don't want to have like a heavy mucus diet. But yes, the over consumption of calcium without having the proper amount of magnesium. Okay. Magnesium and calcium have to work together because when you don't have enough magnesium, but you have a lot of calcium, then you're going to begin to harden things. And in particular, going to begin to harden your arteries. That's why a lot of people have high blood pressure and heart disease, heart attacks, because they have so much calcium but not enough magnesium. Where that calcium will harden things, magnesium will relax things.
So if you have high blood pressure, you can sort of, there's other things, of course, but you can sort of combat that by taking magnesium.
Interesting. Magnesium is great for the heart.
Wow, that's very interesting. I want to talk about the foods because, as, some of us wake up and we have these health awakenings and, we want to eat better and things like that. We stop. The first thing we think to do is like, okay, I'm going to stop eating at McDonald's, Burger King, all that other stuff. And I'm going to start, getting groceries. But there's also talks that, we can't even trust certain, fresh like produce anymore. Like you see on TikTok, the watermelon that seems like rubbery and, the
Bill
fish.
Gates food.
Yeah. So like now when we have these awakenings, now we're fed misinformation as far as like, where can we really get quality foods from? Is the result that we have to just grow our own stuff? Like, talk to the person that is just hearing this information for the first time and just trying to figure it all out.
First and foremost, you need to rely more on the sun as your number one food source. There was a time where we did not consume food, through our mouths, where we just really we just fed through our skin and through our eyes. And so when you have the proper amount of sunshine, you'll find that you aren't needing as much foods. You'll find that you just want to be hydrated more. And that's because where does the food get its minerals and, from the soil, yes, but also from the sun. So we need to become solarized. Again, we need to be more sunbeams. We live in these caves, like the cavemen and women that have taught us how to live this way.
Get out the house.
Yes. So, low vitamin D. Vitamin D is so crucial to Africans. See, the Caucasian, they began to produce their own vitamin D a lot more because of their mutation. Their body just started to produce vitamin D in the ice, right?
Wow.
We still have this codependency on the sun. And so we need to be in the sun a lot more. So that's number one. I know they're trying to taint the sun. They're trying, not the sun, but the layers of the earth. They'll spray the chemtrails.
To force us inside.
Exactly. Well, or even when you're outside, you're not getting as much sunlight because, we've depleted the layers of the earth to where now the sun is very harsh on our skin. But get your sun in, sun gaze early in the morning or in the rising. You want to sun gaze like when it's rising, literally, like before the sun is out.
5 a.m., 6
a.m. Exactly.
a.m.
Be out there and wake up with the sun, and take the sunshine into your eyes directly. Don't do it at high noon because you'll burn your eyes like I did. Lost most of my vision when I was 18. I know.
You drove
it's
here.
Back.
You said it's back.
I don't have no contact. I repaired my eyes naturally. But yes, so you want to get sunshine, and you also want to make sure you do your best to eat organic, okay? Especially if you're eating wheat, any sugar products, any corn products, which I don't recommend any corn products, but we eat largely those products. But a lot of them, like for the brothers, it has atrazine in it, which will turn a man into a woman. So we see a lot of feminine men.
Is that like the artificial estrogen? Because I heard that.
No, but it will turn your testosterone into estrogen.
Gotcha.
It's just a
I wanted
pesticide.
to talk about that.
Yeah, we have a lot.
we have a lot we didn't cover. We have a lot we didn't cover, and unfortunately, we are at that. We reaching that quota. So like, Herb, this might look like a situation where I might need to come set up the studio at you guys. Make it super easy because I would love to even get your husband into the conversation as well. But it definitely sounds like this is like however we can get the information. We got to bring it back to the audience because with this being our first time having a conversation like this, I can only imagine for myself and for the audience, it's like information overload. Like it's like a lot to think about. You got to digest it, microdoses, right? Yeah. So, if you could, just wrap us up by, summarizing for our listeners and telling us like, what are the three, for somebody hearing this information for the first time, what are like the immediate next 3 steps they should take, in order to align themselves and maybe even prepare themselves for the next time we have a conversation like this?
Well, You got to realize that getting your body together, from eating the right foods, from exercising. See, there was a time we didn't have to exercise because exercise was integrated into our lifestyle. We're climbing trees. We're picking food out the yard. Now we got to go, I'm at the gym lifting weights. No, you just had to pick up heavy stuff back in the day. Anyways, so yes, making sure you're meditating, making sure you're waking up early. Everybody, let's start waking up before the sun. Wake up with the sun, Those are little things that you can do to really align yourself with the planet. We want to get realigned. We're so out of tune, out of sync with the earth, to the point where we are just walking zombies ourselves and slaves, to our bosses and whatever else. You want to begin to align yourself with nature. Again, take time to spend in nature. Go walk in the trees. We're here in Georgia. We're so blessed to have all the trees that we have and, preserved nature. So get into those nature preserves. They have them in every city, and just reconnect with your planet, because your planet is the wealthiest thing, that you can really understand. And as you reconnect with nature, you will notice that it will be easier to hear the voice of God within you. In Ifa, we have what is called Ori, and that is that part of God that is administered to each individual. And so when we clear the space, when we clean house, we're able to hear Ori better. And so Ori guides us along our destiny. It tells us the path that Olodumare, that God, brought us here for. There's nothing greater in life, and there's nothing that will bring you to wealth easier than to simply align with the path that God put you on. Because we're from heaven. We have heavenly origins, and heaven is talk about a mansion, talk about wealth, like the Most High, like there's immeasurable wealth. So we're doing all these things to try to, I'm gonna do this hustle, they making money like that. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like, what did you come here for? What were you actually created to do? Like, I am a daughter of Oshun, which is the Orisha of beauty, love, health. She's a medicine woman. She helps people with fertility. I help people with fertility. I became popular as an herbalist by helping men and women to heal their reproductive system. So I help men overcome erectile dysfunction. I help women overcome fibroids, cysts, endometriosis, infertility, and so that's Oshun, reproductive. And, but I also help people with their relationships. I'm a law of attraction love coach. So I help women, I'm going to be helping men soon too. Don't get on my head, brothers. But, I help women to know what it means to become a wife, and to clear out the karma and all these different things to become a wife. And, I do a number of things. I host events. So definitely tap in with me, follow me. I share a lot of information. My page on Instagram is Herb Alchemist, on Facebook, Herb Alchemist. And the Alchemist, if you can flash this, HerbalKhemyst. So it's spelled a little different. And then my website, amashs.com. That's where you can find my herbs. And then my other website, where me and my husband will be doing a lot of coaching and courses, to help you to really, if you want to get back to your blueprint, you want to fortify yourself and get your organs right, get that snatched body and just become really healthy. We have a certification program, that's focused on your wellness blueprint, getting you back. And a lot of people stay focused on detoxification, detox. But there's detoxification and there's also fortification. So you see a lot of vegan healers are like, oh, you got to cleanse. And there's a point, it's like, okay, I'm clean. Okay, I'm over here about to wither away. I'm over here 99 pounds.
Not wither away.
And it's like, okay, you got to detox, but then you have to fortify. We take baths, but then we feed ourselves, right? So it's in a sense, we cleanse the organs, but then we also give them what they want, give them what they need. So definitely, if you want to sign up for that program, if you're ready to take your life to the next level, I recommend go to amashha.com and sign up for that program. You can also book a consultation with me and, for a customized wellness plan. But yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. You are definitely here, and we're gonna have to get you back here because
because we didn't get to go in on the entrepreneurial.
We did it, but we can hear it already. Like you are a wealth of knowledge.
Oh, thank you so
much. And when I really like emphasize the wealth of knowledge. Like you've got some knowledge that you like intentionally sought after. You got some knowledge that you've been blessed with from those past lives we mentioned. Like you got a lot of information that has been kept from us that is also out there, but we just haven't been tapped in to even know what to search to find it and to find the accurate information at that too. So I appreciate you. It's definitely a blessing to finally have orchestrated this and to get you on here. And
it's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming indeed. And I hope that we can continue to nurture the relationship and make sure that we can continue to make that impact.
Absolutely.
But it's been a pleasure, truly, Herb. So I appreciate you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And I appreciate y'all for tapping in every single Monday for new episodes. I'm your guy, Kai Speaks. You just heard from Herb Alchemist. We out.